Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Today, okay, it's December on the run up to Christmas and another new release has come out. Finally, it's the Takom wings. Takom getting into aircraft. The HS129 2 squared box. So it's got basically an HS129 B2, an HS129 B3, printed figure set, two of, or is it two figures? I think it's two figures, and a Panther A, all in 48 scale. Well, I'm going to get rid of this huge box because it's not quite as huge as I expected. In my mind, when I first saw it advertised, they made it look like it was going to be something stupid, but it's actually quite a sensible size. So there we go, I'll put that over there. Here we go then. So here they are, where to begin? I think what we'll do, we'll do one of the HS2s, have a look at the Panther, which is 48 scale. And then we'll do the other one after. So we'll do the B2 first. I think we'll do the B2 first, I think. Give me that order. Let's get straight into it now because there's quite a lot to get through here and I want to show you at my best. So this particular kit is 48001. It's their first 48 scale kit. So this is interesting. Now Takom are good quality kits. They have, really good plastic. Usually go together reasonably well, with my experience. I think I've built 2 Takom sets. And the only thing that lets them down a bit is the instructions, although they're not as bad as some others. But they're more well known for their armour, of course. So this is a departure for them, isn't it? And this one reminds me a little bit of the Airfix, the old Airfix artwork. I'm trying to think, what was it? The desert camo? I can't remember. Anyway, let's have a look. It says here, bonus clear parts. Interesting. On the side, looks like we've got 4 schemes, including a captured one in British hands, which is again very, very interesting. Yes, there are now interesting. Takom avoiding that symbol that we keep having so many problems with the likes of Revell, Airfix, etc. But they clearly are going to provide you with some way of showing that, which is, I think, so correct and doing it in the right way. If you look carefully, this is the way they do it. They don't show it on the tail, but they do show it. We don't want to dwell on this, it's just that, people are saying, oh well, a guy the other day, some of you may have seen this, after my Airfix review, and somebody said, some smart aleck who clearly didn't listen to the video properly, I emphasise the word properly because he must have listened to some of it, what I was talking about, oh maybe the reason is, and then he listed all the countries where that symbol is banned. Well, we know that, everybody knows that, and we know the reasons for it, but it doesn't stop these guys selling. Tell me they're not selling into Germany. We know they are because we've seen reviews coming out of Germany. So it's not an excuse in itself. It's a question of how much will they have. Now in the case of Airfix, I don't want to get into this now. I know in the case of Airfix they've got a really tricky situation which has been explained to me now by Dale, but he hasn't told me whether I can actually go ahead and broadcast it fully, but it's to do with distributors. It's the distributor that's the problem. But anyway, not gonna dwell on that. There are sensitivities around it. I still think they could get around it, as these guys do. Won't dwell on that. Let's have a look at this one. Here we have the sprue map, which looks fairly significant. I've got to be honest. For a 48 scale kit, there seems to be. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of plastic and it feels very full. Very well packed though. Anyway, let's have a look what we got. They're not sealed. Excuse me. Sorry if I cough and a splutter. I haven't COVID or anything. It's just the weather keeps on changing day to day here. One day it's raining and it's miserable and it's very mild. The next day it's freezing cold, and this is playing havoc with my asthma. So I haven't got a cold or an illness as such. No, it's nothing to do with COVID. It predates that by decades. So don't worry about me. I'm fine. It's just this shit. If the weather was settled down and be one thing or the other, I would be absolutely fine. Anyway, the most important part of the story I haven't told you yet, which is very remiss of me. Actually, I should have said that at the beginning. We are seeing all of this courtesy of our good friend Stewart Neale. It's his kits, plural. How many have we got? 3 kits, I think. His kits, and he's let them come straight to me first. So, Stuart, very grateful. Thank you very much. Checks in the post, as they say. Goes with all the other lights, doesn't it? Love you in the morning, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, right, let's have a looky-see. We'll do the plastic after. Let's have a... Now, here we go. Now, this is what we talked about with both Airfix and Revell. Here, Takom, I put everything in a bag. It stops any damage or grinding motion, pardon the pun, in transit though, you know, the sort of damage that gets caused. We saw both Airfix and Revell's instructions recently that were all quite badly damaged, particularly in the Airfix case, where they were just, everything was haphazardly thrown in, almost like a separate operation, just chuck that in, chuck that in, chuck that in. And there was no bag or anything like that, so we had decals that were getting affected, we'd got instructions where they got ripped, etc. This is the way it should be done. In a bag, all together, it can't be damaged and it's got some friction resistance. In the case of that Revell kit, by the way, of course it had, had a very heavy book that was really putting some pressure on it. But anyway, amazing it survived. So, it looks like there's no photo etch, which I'm not saying is a criticism at all. But let's have a look. So, we have... now this is one of the areas I should mention, give Takom some credit here, because this is one of the areas where I think they do very well. They do give you some history, which a lot of the other Far Eastern manufacturers, especially Chinese ones, don't tend to do. Border, are you listening? Because you're one of the worst offenders. I can't even tell you what the colours are supposed to be. So let's have a read of it then. Just kick back your shoes, and we'll just, I'm going to have a cup of tea. And for reasons I won't bore you with, to do with one of my neighbours having some work done, I'm filming this quite early in the morning, so I definitely won't be any drinking at this hour. I haven't even had my breakfast yet, would you believe? Anyway, it says, the HS129 was developed to fulfil roles of close air support and ground attack for the Luftwaffe in World War II. After the experience of the Condor Legion during the Spanish Civil War, German analysts concluded that the Luftwaffe needed a specialised aircraft to engage targets on the ground. Henschel put forward a design in 1937 to study the HS129 V1 prototype, which was built at Schönefeld. The airframe was constructed of all aluminium with steel armour plates attached to protect the engines and the tiny cockpit, which was protected from the front by a plate of 75mm armoured glass. The prototype was powered by a pair of Argus AS410A engines, AO engines, and began flight tests on May 1939. Another prototype, the V2, was completed but crashed within a couple of months of its first testing in January 1940. 14 pre-production HS129A0s were rushed into service in France, but the poor performance prevented the series from entering full production. Cockpit was modified to improve its visibility, and the engines were replaced with captured French 700 horsepower air-cooled Gnome Rhone 14M 14-cylinder radial engines. Good Lord. Resulting in the HS129 B series, and that's these. Standard armament consisted of two 20mm MG151 cannons and two MG17 machine guns. Okay. Provision for light bombs to be mounted on the fuselage. This new series went into battle in the primary role on the Eastern Front of North Africa in 1941. Advanced Soviet tank designs, however, required heavier firepower, resulting in the 129 B2 series, here we go, which entered service in early 1943. This was armed with two 20mm cannons and a pair of 131 13mm machine guns, and the HS B2R2 included the additional 30mm Mark 103 cannon centrally mounted under the fuselage. That's the one we all think of, isn't it? Emitting two of the machine guns, which were replaced in favour of two 37mm cannon. Well, that's a lot of cannons, isn't it? 37mm cannon. Two of those and a 30mm under. The B2, so that was the B2R3. The B2R4 was armed with a 75mm Pak 40L cannon. It's basically from a Panther, isn't it? Mounted under the fuselage. A total of 866 of these Henschel 129s were built before production ceased in the summer of 1944. I think the issue with them when they got dropped was that they were just not fast enough, actually. Once you got things like Mustangs appearing, the later model Spitfires and the Thunderbolts, the latest Thunderbolts, just weren't fast enough. these things, you know, you couldn't use them in Normandy, could you? Because they just get shot to pieces. They just weren't fast enough, you know. And adding all this armour and guns is all very well, but that just robs it of performance. Anyway, that's it. That's the right. Very good Takom, like that. So that's, yeah, I think that's just about adequate. And this is what we were lacking on the Meteor from Revell, where we didn't. Yeah, I know they gave you a reference book, but that was almost making up for the lack of instructions. You know what I mean? Anyway, there we got the sprue map, and we'll just very quickly flash this. Now remember, on the two versions, this is going to be quite similar, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on both of them. So let's have a look at this one. There we go. So, what have we got? Looks like we are starting with the cockpit, and we're going to build that up and put in our instrumentation seat. It's quite a tight cockpit from all accounts. Of course, this came from the same era, didn't it, in design terms, as the 109E. Early 109s, which were tight anyway. Not the most spacious of cockpits. So then you've got your cockpit sides coming in and your instrumentation going in, your seat goes in, armour plate, obviously lots of that behind the pilot. And then you've got like a bulkhead area, which the... sorry, I should explain, that's the bottom of the fuselage there, the chin, because you sit right at the front of this aircraft. Right in the nose, basically. Then you've got the sort of stowage area just behind the cockpit that goes in there, which has actually, I say stowage area, it has the fuel tanks in it. Wow. So a very high mounted fuel tank in this, interestingly. Then you've got the sort of like an A-frame of bulkhead going in there, spars basically that are going to go down the fuselage, and it builds up a little bit like a Zokimura, this doesn't it, actually. All these spars or bulkhead frames going in down the fuselage. Two fuselage sides come in, and you put that together. You've got the option of the crew door open or closed. Is that the crew door? Open or closed. It's got the ladder on it, like an access ladder. It says closed, it doesn't really mean closed, it means extended or retracted, really. Bit of a language issue, but at least we've got some English on it, so I don't want to be too sniffy compared to others. He says as he sniffles. And you've got quite a lot of detail on this kit. There's a lot of hatches that open. You can have them open, and you put the covers on. So that's, at this scale, that's quite impressive. Same on the other side. You can see on the opposite side, port side of the fuselage, again you've got hatches. You've got your tails and your vertical and horizontal stabiliser going in there, plus the rudder at the end. And fuel tanks, I mean, there's a lot of detail. It's like a scaled down Zokimura, this is. Very similar to Zokimura. You've got fuel tanks on the wings coming in here. You've got antenna aerial, a transmitter aerial there, I think it is, that's going on. Is that an aerial? Hard to see. A little bit more English would have helped. Opposite side, same again, fuel tanks going in the wings. You've got all these spars that seem to be as part of the... It's actually moulded in one piece, but the spars are moulded in, so it looks quite strong. Now remember, this is their first venture into aircraft, so I think we should be, giving them a little bit of credit. Then you've got a bottom wing that comes up. You got like radiators in the wings. It looks like radiators. Yeah, I think so. Radiators in the wings. Cooling radiators for the engines there over here. I do wonder whether this wouldn't have been, I'm not trying to be critical really, but just a slightly bigger instruction manual. It seems a bit small for the detail that's going on here. If that's a bigger manual, we could have had it a bit bolder, would have been better, but anyway. Then we're going to start making up the gear for the main legs here. They're going to go in under the wing, then you put the top wing on. Then we've got the sort of bracing for the nacelles for the engines that are going to come. It's a lot of detail here. It's very Zokimura-like, I've got to say. Just not quite as good instructions, obviously. But it's, yeah, they've gone to a lot of effort with the part counts quite high, isn't it, actually? Higher than I expected. Then you're going to build your engines up. Now, it doesn't make it entirely clear. Are these the French engines? I don't think they are. I think they're Umo engines, aren't they? BMW engines or Umo engines, one or the other. and they're going to go in there. Got the exhaust going on. Whoops. And engines finally are mounted here into the nacelles, and even the nacelles have got multiple parts just building them up. You know. Got here some of the retraction system. Again, lots of parts, quite part heavy. It's almost like mini art, this, isn't it? And it shows exactly how they retract. It looks good though. I think the diagrams are fairly good. Nice the way it's sort of rear retracting. It doesn't fully retract, and it doesn't have doors around the tyres. So the tyres are a bit vulnerable on these aircraft, aren't they, actually, to ground fire, you know. Then we're going to get the rest of the nacelles coming together here, and then the front cowling around the front of the engine on this side, along with a few others. There's a lot of little open hatches and fiddly bits you're going to have to do here, so probably not a kit for a beginner, to be honest. Then you've got your cannons here. I think it's the 30mm cannons. And then finally you've got your flaps and your ailerons and your little pallet in the centre of the underside of the fuselage and the bomb. And then finally, in terms of the undercarriage, you're going to put your tail wheel in there and your main wheels and tyres coming in. And then you are going to put on these final exterior sort of covers. Yeah, and it actually covers basically, they're covers for where the cannons operate, aren't they? Cannon access covers. How interesting. Same over on this side. And then finally you've got your spinners and props coming in there, which is fairly straightforward actually, considering how complicated the rest of it was. And then we've got our colour call out. So here we go. We've got the North African scheme, we've got the, it doesn't tell us actually where they are, which is slightly irksome. It's one thing they have missed, telling us where they're based. Does it tell us on the side? I don't think it did it? No, it didn't on the side, it just shows the colours. Doesn't say where they're based. I'm pretty sure this is the Eastern Front. And then we've got, oh maybe not, maybe this is the Eastern Front, beg your pardon. And then you obviously got one that's captured. But again, it'd be nice to know the history. That's, given they've done the other work, you think they'd have done that actually. So it's a little bit of a disappointment just at the end. So I'd say on the instructions, more detail about the aircraft that you're depicting. You told us absolutely nothing there. That's a bit weird. You did a good job at the beginning and then didn't sort of see it through to the end, so that's a bit strange. Anyway, we'll go on that. Let's go and have a look at what we got plastic wise and see what these decals look like. I seem to remember having some very minor problems with the Takom decals. What was the problem I had? They're quite thick. I seem to remember when I did my Falklands War kits, I seem to remember having a slight glitch with them. I can't remember. They look very nice. They look very nice. They've got broken Hakenkreuzes. Oh. Can you see that? I'll just get this out of the way at the beginning. There they are. So, you know, it can be done, can't it? And when anybody tells you, you can't do that, can't it? Rubbish. That's just nonsense. Plenty of other people are doing it, so there you go. It can be done if you have the will. I appreciate there are diplomatic sensitivities as per Airfix explained to me. I have a lot of detail now around that, which I'm not going to share, but yeah, there are some diplomatic sensitivities, but I'm sure they could, in a sensitive conversation, they could get around it, as long as it's not depicted, you know. Anyway, these look very nice. They're quite... why has that got a little glitch in the middle of that decal? There's a G here, not that one, that one. There's a slight glitch in it. I don't know if I can get this on the camera for you. You see that? A little fault, is it? It's like something was spilled on it or something. That's a bit weird. Maybe it'll just not be so noticeable once it's been applied and glossed up or whatever. They're a little bit flat looking. Quite a matte finish of the decals. You can see it there on the crosses. Balkenkreuz. Bit flat looking, you know. They're not exactly jumping off the sheet at me, and there's a few weird things on the finish. Let me make it out on that It looks a bit flat, doesn't it? A bit dour, but it doesn't matter, does it? I mean, sometimes I think we all get tired in knots, me especially, about these things on things like decals. You've got to remember these are war machines that are probably going to be looking hammered anyway, with a fair bit of weathering on them. So it's when you get things like Formula 1 cars you can't have faults, because that becomes really critical. Something that's not shown weathered, not very weathered, shall we say. Right, I'm going to put that back safely. Stewart. He was very keen for me to. He was very keen for me to review these, and I'm going to have to be swift because there's so much to go. Oh, do that on me. There's so much to go at, isn't there? I'm going to have to be rather rapid. There we go. Perfect. Right. So thanks to Stewart again. I'll put that back in there so it's all together. Just indulge me for a second, and we will get cracking. Looking at the plastic, see what we've got now. It's an interesting new development, this particular kit, because it is a departure for the manufacturer. So let's give them a bit of credit where we can. I don't think we need to give them credit about not putting any history about the 4 different variants. I'm sure they could have done that. They've obviously based it on something, some historical document. Have we got to? No, we haven't recently. Right, here we go then. Let's have a looky. That's a duplicate. These are 2 duplicates. Ooh, that's a bit weird. Oh, how wild. Well, these are actually connected together with like a loop. Like a bent over loop on the sprue. Look at this. How interesting. See that? That's actually quite a good idea, so they don't fly around in transit. I quite like that. Oh, that's quite sensible. Anyway, it's very nice. It's got some lovely details. Remember, we're at 48 scale here. So it's not huge, and we've got some lovely riveting detail, great detail on those wheels, detail on the bomb, horizontal stabilisers, great panel line detail, good detail in the rudder, yeah, great super detail on those engine cowlings, are lovely, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, like that. And then, oops, I did it the other way around, I think. And then again, detail-wise, look at this on the engine. That's very finely done, and all the push rods and things. And then you got all your cylinders here, and your exhausts, ignition feed. Well, that's very nice. That's some very fine parts as well. I don't think it's going to be long before this bending sprue actually snaps off. I don't think it's that durable, but it's good enough to get it through transit, and that's what you need. That's all you need, actually. It's funny the way they've done it wide at one end and thin at the other. Anyway, there's 2 of those which can go away. Back in the bag, I think. That way? That way, I think. Or is it better the other way? Ah! Like that. So far, so good. Very impressed. Looks really sharp, very crisp. There's no flash, no nonsense, no warpage, no sinkage, nothing nasty. Excuse me. Okay, little tiny bag here, and we have got fuselage sides. Lovely, look at this, check this out. Very fine riveting detail. Oh yeah, absolutely lovely. You've got all these hatches, you know, all these open hatches. That's like a mini art kit, you know. That's really going the extra mile, isn't it? So you've got all sorts of options if you want it on the ground with the hatches open for doing a diorama. Again, the wings here, very nice. Nothing wrong with those. Lovely little panels and hatches that are all nicely engraved. It's all beautiful. Nice plastic. It's quite hard though, Takom. Just be wary about this. I talked about this before when I talked about my Holy Grail kit, the great big Tiger tank that I've got. the Andy's Hobby headquarters one on the 16th scale, because there's a whole range of kits in that scale now from him, that are made by Takom. And I said, geez, you know, you're going to go through a few of these nippers, aren't you? Because it's like cutting tungsten steel, cutting off, and I did experience it with the other kits that I made. It's really thick, quite hard plastic. So I wouldn't go using God Hand on Takom. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend it seriously. Use your more basic, not more basic, but slightly more robust cutters. Best advice I can give you. Otherwise, you're going to be finding that they've gone blunt very quickly. You know, they use this really, you know, it's completely opposite from what we've seen from Airfix. Not so much now, but in the past, you know, when they had that very soft plastic they used to use. Here's the underside of the wing, and you can see the recess where the straight back retracting undercarriage goes. Yeah, and it's nice, isn't it? See, that's where your tyre goes, flush into the wing. I suppose it's to keep a simple, you know, without too many, simple gear without too many of the sort of gear doors and all the actuation, trying to keep it light, so they can put all this extra heavy duty armour on it, I suppose. And I forgot to say, when I was talking about the 30mm cannons, etc., that the 20mm cannon is the one that's depicted here, isn't it? Which I don't quite sort of explain. One's under the nose, as seen here, and then on the B3 version, of course, it's the 30mm that sticks right out. That's basically the Panther. The Panther. I said 30mm. It wasn't. It was 76, 75 mil. Quite hard to keep up with them, isn't it? Really? Right. Okay. That can go back in there. That was very nice. I mean, it's nice. I've seen nothing I don't like so far at all, apart from they were a bit miserly with their information on the instructions, which seemed a bit strange. Started off well, giving you a good history. Then they're showing captured aircraft and all sorts. No story behind it, no idea what they're all about. Oh, here we go. Bonus clear parts. Now I get it. Now I get it. Now then. Oh, look at this. Now, I'm not going to go... Okay, I'm not probably going to take this all off because it's quite... Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for Stewart. Basically, though, we've got very... You might have to take my word on this. I don't really want to unwrap it completely because it's like a heat wrap thing. But they are clear parts for the wing and the fuselage, so you can see all the interior. This is very like Zokimura now, except I think this is better in one respect because it's a very smooth and perfect looking plastic. It looks like it's got no distortion in it at all, and it's not frosted, so you don't have to start prattling around to get it to be see-through. You can, I know it's a bit of a gimmick, I know, but you've got all those spars, remember, in this design of kit, and this enables you to have it open. You can see, if you have it open here, you can see the interior. That's why you've got all the spars down, so much detail I mentioned earlier, down the spine of the aircraft all the way to the tail, so that you can put this on one of the sides and you can see through it. Trust me, I can see from here that is zero distortion. That's really good. That's a bit like the Airfix clear parts that we saw on the 109. You know, really, really neat. Super sharp, very bright. I say it's kind of shrink. I don't want to unwrap that particular one. I feel, yeah, I don't want to because it'll never go back the same, and it's not fair on Stewart. But trust me, I think it's not for everybody anyway. But yeah, I think especially when you've got this in this presentation with the box of two kits. Then you've got two. You can have one with see-through parts and one without. You've got the option to do a sort of tabletop display model showing the interior of the aircraft. It's very tempting, isn't it, actually? Back in, there we go. So that's what they meant by extra clear parts. I wasn't quite clear. That's very good. I know it's not something that would swing it, but how much did he pay for this? I did see it actually. I won't say which supplier it's got it from, that might not be fair, but this entire set is 65 quid. You're getting quite a lot for 65 quid. Yeah, you're getting two models. You get two kits, aren't you? And the third kit with the tank. The only thing that baffles me about the tank is why they didn't Shame it wasn't a T-34 tank. It would be more natural to have included something like that in terms of the diorama potentials, I suppose. But there we go. I mean, they're just nailing it, actually. This is a good kit. This is going to feature in Kits of the Year. I can feel it coming. And I didn't have any particularly high expectations for this one. I thought, oh, they haven't done aircraft before. Is it going to be any good, you know? But it does look good. Look at some of the detail here on these bulkheads they've got. You see that? That looks really special. That's really nice. And you've got all the nacelles here. Lots of fine panel lines and great detail on the legs, on the undercarriage legs. It's quite a simple pivoting undercarriage, isn't it? Doesn't do a lot. There's two different options there, two different versions, interestingly. Oh, one's extended and one's retracted. This is extended. So, well, put it in flight then, could you? You can see the damper area here, there. It's extended here. Uncompressed, in other words. That's nice. Look at that. It's flawless. Very nice. And the other one, we've got lots of the interior cockpit parts. So we've got instrumentation and the sort of bulkhead area. We've got some, what looks like some seat belts in plastic. And avoiding using, they're quite thin. Can you see that? Quite thin belts. Not bad, actually. I think that'll look alright. And then we've got, sorry, coming back to this side. And then we've got seat belts, as I say, bulkhead at the front, lots of little parts. It's one of these kits where there's a lot of little parts that I'm not quite sure what they are. That looks like the machine guns here, where my thumb is. I think that's the machine guns. Part of the bridge, I think. And then you've got these little like fillets and cowls and little hatches that need to go in. A lot of detail. Then you got, that's the tail, isn't it, underneath where the tail wheel goes. Yeah, little loop aerial there. Yeah. It's very nice. They've done a fine job with the moulding, nothing wrong with that at all. It's well up to their standards, actually. So, that was very impressive. And we then have just two more, including this one. Oh, now look at this. It says, if we can actually get a look at it. There we go. There we've got our cannon. Oh, look at this, and they've slide moulded this cannon. Can you see that? Oh, yes, see the muzzle? That's very, very cool. Yes, slide moulded the cannon muzzle. That's really nice. And then you've got your the machine guns. 20mm. Is it 20mm? Is it with the 13? Can't remember now. They look a bit like an MG34, don't they? The actual barrel, I mean. Not quite sure. But yeah, that slide moulding of that muzzle, that's really important on a kit like this with a part like that. That's really well done. So that is even better than I expected, actually. That is even better than I expected. And then you've got here where the actual guns come out the side, a sort of exit point for the muzzles and the bodywork. I think that's really impressive, actually. That's really nice. Yeah, they've done a fine job here. This is really definitely exceeding what I expected. I thought it'd be good, but I just didn't expect it was going to be in the top 10 of kits of the year, and I got a funny feeling it might be. Which doesn't bode well for some of the ones that were in the top 10, I'm afraid. Not that they are not great kits as well. But I think there's going to be a rejiggling of the order. A bit like with the Meteor, there's a lot of good stuff coming through right at the end of 2025. And it's making kits of the year a total nightmare, to be quite honest. All bets are off currently, I can tell you that now. All bets are off, but I like that. That's beautifully done. And that just leaves us, whoops, just leaves us with one last bag for this kit. Oh boy, I'm earning my money today. See, thanks to Stewart. Look at the value you're getting here. It's very good of him to trust me to do this before he's seen it himself straight, as Neil did as well the other day with the Revell Meteor. Oh, look at this! Now this is why they got the clear parts that they wanted you to potentially use, because you've got this wing with all its spars in it. You see? You can see to avoid the ejector pins they're using these lugs, so beware, you've got a few lugs you've got to cut off here and there. Then you've got your fuel tank that goes behind the pilot, in that compartment behind. And here are all these sort of fuselage spars that I spoke of that go all the way down the fuselage, and again so that you can have the clear option to clear fuselage. And then here's you've got your wing fuel tanks. And again, look at the detail and look at the fact that there's no, flash or anything like that, is there? There's no nonsense here at all. Here we've got beautiful propellers. Yeah, I wish they hadn't put the contact point where they have. I'm not that impressed with that. Apart from that, they look beautiful. We've got our flaps here. Is that your ailerons? Ailerons, I think, actually. And here you've got these are the little cowlings where the guns are. You have to cover it over, or you can leave it open, of course, if you wish. You've got the tail here, the vertical stabiliser. And no, I was wrong. These are the flaps. In fact, these are the ailerons because they're much longer toward the end of the wing. Yeah, they must have been quite a manoeuvrable aircraft. I think they're just heavy. That was the biggest problem, that they just overloaded it with all this weaponry and armour. Instead of it being like a mosquito, it's like the opposite of a mosquito. It looks like a mosquito from a distance, but it would lumber around the sky much more slowly, I mean, people say it's the first version of the A-10 Thunderbolt, but the A-10 is a tad more agile, I think, and has got, although it's also very heavily armoured, I think they gave that one adequate power relative to the job it's supposed to do. This one, no, not really adequate power, I don't think. That is a beautiful kit. I am really, really impressed with that. I think that'll build up beautiful. I mean, the Takom kits didn't have any major building issues with any of them. They all went together really well, to be fair. As I said, the only thing I encountered was this very, very super hard plastic. It can take a bit of time doing things like the cleanup. First of all, you got the problem with your cutters blunting. And then the cleanup takes a little bit more time because it is a bit harder. But as I recall, it all glued together well. No problem with that respect. It was very good. Right then, so that's that one. Now, what I'm going to do with the second one, I think, is just very quickly look at what is different, because I don't think we need to go through. 90% of the kit will be the same, I think. So let's have a quick look at that. I was going to do the tank, but I think it might be easy to understand if we focus on what is different. That's not different, that's not different. Pretty sure there's nothing major until we get to things like the guns. Okay, this is different, right. This is the sprue we need to see. Everything else is going to be the same, okay. This has got the 75mm cannon underneath. And yeah, absolutely. When we tried this with the Mosquito, the Tetsu Mosquito, which had a 6-pounder, didn't it? And they said that the recoil was so severe it felt like almost like the aircraft stopped in mid-flight. So let's have a look at this then. Look at this for a difference. You're looking bottom left. Look at this monster of a gun. Oh my lord! I mean, that looks like straight out of a 48 scale tank model, isn't it? It's got a slight bow in it, actually. Or is it me? Maybe I'm causing that, sorry. No, it's okay. I think I had my thumb on it, putting a bit of pressure on it there, because it's a little bit, yeah. Look at that. That looks like straight out of an armour kit, doesn't it? You can't believe that's a gun on an aircraft at 48 scale. It's about half the length of the aircraft. Incredible. Wow. So there's that, and then we have got... Here's all the mounting for it, so you can see what a monster it is. with its breech and everything. That's the breech, isn't it? I think so. Yeah, you can see the mounting like as you would have in a tank. What a shocker! All this support, sort of scaffolding almost. That's where it mounts into the aircraft, and that's what this sprue is. And you've got this additional fairing underneath to fair it in. So as you're looking at it, the aircraft is here, the fuselage is here. Here's your exit where the gun comes out. And this is the aero fairing that goes round it. What a monster. Absolutely unbelievable. But I mean, just look at it. Wow. I like it a lot. All that sprue is basically to cater for that gun. Wow, it's pretty impressive, isn't it? I like that. Yeah, and they moulded it beautifully. And sorry, I didn't show you the best bit. I'm rushing too much. Some workmen coming next door, and I'm rushing to avoid the workmen making a noise and ruining everything. But look at the gun. Look at this. Oh my lord, that is just a monster. Now you can see the actual muzzle, the open muzzle, slide moulded. That's the thing I forgot to show you. Now, isn't that nice? Yes, please. Yes, please. I like it. I think that's really impressive. So that's basically the difference, as I say. That sprue is different. It's got all the other attributes of the model. It's got all the clear parts. Excuse me a second, I've got slightly snivelly nose. Sorry about that. This weird weather is definitely giving me the snivel slightly. Right, so I'm just double checking. Yeah, everything is the same. It's all the same. Oh no, what? There is one difference here. Oh, there is one more difference that we must see. That goes very much with that. I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't want to shortchange it. I want to get to the tank as well, but I think it's important to look at this. Let me just get the instructions out, because I think I need to. Also, it's got different markings, so we'll have a quick look at those as well. Sticky resealable bags can be a bit of a nuisance. So, yeah, blah blah blah, and it shows the big gun. Bum bum bum. Yes, indeed. Again, there's no history about the aircraft. Individual markings, I mean. What I'm looking for, that I've just seen, which is really impressive, was... Here we go, that's where the gun goes. It ends with this gun going on, but then internally... Oh, does it? Sorry, I'll explain what I'm rambling about. It will become clear in a second. So what I'm just a bit mystified about is this. It has, within the set, something that was not on the other set, the shells. And what looks like a muzzle shroud. And it just puzzled me slightly, because I think this has come from another kit. Possibly an armour kit. Because I don't think that muzzle shroud here that's got the holes in it, I don't think that's used. But look at the shells. That gives you an idea how big that they are. And bear in mind this is only 48 scale. It's a monster, isn't it? Absolutely lovely those are. And then you've got some other parts here, I'm not quite sure. I think that's to do with another... I think what they've done is throw in a sprue. It mentions E-sprue. Look at the front, see whether it says that that's to be ignored. But they don't do this thing where they blank out the parts you're not going to use, you see. I'm not sure you're going to use all these. I've got a feeling that this is like a sprue that's come from an armour kit that uses that gun, and it's to give you the shells. I'm just not convinced that that will be used. You wouldn't use that. Look at the aerodynamics of that in the sky. You wouldn't be using that, would you? And it's not shown anywhere. It's not shown in the instructions. So it probably comes from something else, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm absolutely confident you don't use it. It's not mentioned in the instructions to do with the muzzle or anything like that. It's just like that, not even as a cover. So I just wanted to check that. And then finally we've got some slightly different decals. Say, oh, well, this time, but it's the similar theme. That symbol is in the similar way. It's all there. Let's pop that away. I like the way they bag everything though. It stops any danger of transit damage, doesn't it? And having parts falling about, and you know, that's some of the issues we saw with the likes of the Airfix kits, where parts are off the sprue. You're not going to get that here because it's so well packed. Separate. Right then. Right, so that's the one with the big cannon. I'm going to give that a quick rating, and then I'm going to give an overall rating for the set. Right. So I'm going to give a rating. I mean, either or, you know. I think it's 9.5 out of 10 because I'm a little bit irked about the instructions and that they could be a tad clearer, and the fact that they made no detail about where they served, what they did, and yet they've got 4 schemes, which just doesn't make any sense at all. Go on. Dab of the nose. Doesn't make any sense. So they lost out, and that could have been a 10 out of 10, really. It's beautifully moulded, and the instructions, I think, for building it, I think it's a bit over fussy. It's a bit overly, part count's a bit heavy, having all these hatches open and stuff. Some of you will think that's a good thing, and I can understand why. For the money, it's fantastic, isn't it? What, 65 quid for all this lot? Jeez. You think it'd be about 165 quid. Anyway, I'm going to say 9.5 out of 10 for the Henschel as a kit. Well done, Takom. It's a new kit they've come out with. And then a not so new one, which is... Okay. We have got... This is a bit weird the way they've done it, but they've actually put some parts for the Henschels in this Panther box. And it's your pilot. So check this out. These are 3D printed pilots for the Henschel. And as you can see, put it on the hand like that, they are very, very nice indeed. There we go. Look at them from different angles. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm not sure why they put it in the tank box. That's a bit weird. But we don't mind. It looks like they're in bed. It's like a bed, isn't it? How bizarre. Oh, sir. Anyway. Yeah, but they are nice. They're very detailed, aren't they? And they've got the hands around the stick. You make that out. Got the hand around the stick. They're really, really well done. So, yes, I like that. Just a bit strange they presented it with the tank. I was thinking, what's all this, you know? Bizarre. Surprised they didn't put it in there. So remember that, Stuart, your men are in with your tank. So let's have a look at this then. We've got the little Panther 148, so this competes with the likes of Tampa, of course. And I'm not very familiar with 148. Oh, it's got figures with it as well. Oh, well, that's cool. The one figure. I think the Tank Commander figure, that's all. So let's have a look. Let's just have a check of what we've got here. Right, I suppose we should look at the instructions first, shouldn't we? Oh, this one comes with some photo etch. So they do photo etch on the tanks, but not on the aircraft. Not what I mind. Sometimes it's there for its own sake. And actually they've done it quite sensibly, because that's one thing I did like about Takom. I thought that they didn't go crazy with photo etch. Here, for example. It's just those grills that you do need it for, don't you? So you've got photo etch grills on the top of the engine cover, engine deck. We got some very simple, basic decals, usual thing, not a big factor on these vehicles. We've got some towing cable here, and we've got our instructions. So let's have a look. Is there any history here? Any history? Yes? No? No history at all on this one. Oh, how odd. So, there's a black mark for them. There's no history at all. There's nothing. It's just a white box. There's no history. It's just Panther. Okay, so yeah, Panther Ausf-A, and we're going to start with usual thing. You've got a bathtub hole, as we'll see in a second. It's a bathtub hole. We've got all the road wheels going on, and your torsion bars, suspension arms, drive sprockets, and the idler wheels as well. Put those in. And then Lincoln length tracks. That's good. That's good. Okay. I suppose at 40x scale, that's what you'd expect. Still look a little bit complicated, but no, not too bad. Give you a nice scale-looking Panther. And then you've got your rear exhaust and your rear, basically the storage bins at the back. And then here you've got all the ancillaries, you know, the spare tracks, the tools, etc. The hatches going on. Whoops, hatches going on. Your grills, your saw, photo etch grills, good on the engine deck there. You've got your sort of glasses, a cupola for the machine gun, if you like, going through the front of the armour, popping out of the front of the main sort of mantlet area. And then we've got mud guards going on at the front, and there's the side armour for the tracks on the side, the cupola for the turret, for the tank commander's cupola, the gunner's hatch, both the hatches there, rear hatch with the escape hatch here, and then mounting that onto the base. And then you've got your front mantlet, which is where your cannon's going to mount. You've got your MG43 on the top, and then we've got the actual 75mm cannon coming through its armoured mantlet and then being mounted into the turret, and then you just put the turret onto the base and away you go. Marking guide. Now here, unlike the Henschels, here we do get a tiny bit of info about the tank. It says it's the Regiment 1 France 1944. Slight inconsistency going on here, isn't there? Slight inconsistency. And then you've got one which is June 1945, France again. France 1944 again, a bit repetitive. Slightly different schemes though, of course. Not the actual, the scheme is different. And then the last one is Mont Omel in Italy. Mont Omel? Mont Omel? Omel? I thought Mont Omel was in Normandy. Wasn't that where they had the final battle with the Polish Sherman Brigade? Oh, am I missing something? Is that Mont Omel? Can't remember. I'm not sure they haven't made a mistake there. I'm going to check that out as soon as I finish the review. But he says Mont Omel, Italy, 1944. Ormel, O-R-M-E-L. I thought that was the heights of Kudahar, the mace, where they had the road of death at the end of the Falaise Gap campaign, where the Germans got trapped and got the Polish rained artillery down on them as trying to escape, and the British Typhoons and the American Thunderbolts rained down cannon fire and rockets and all sorts. It was all nasty. Right, anyway, that goes back in there. In the bag, did it? No, just that and that. The bag seems a bit screwed up for some reason. What is that? I don't know. I'm just a bit puzzled now how it came. That should go in there, surely. Just bear with me, folks. It's a bit puzzled why they didn't put this in a bag to protect it. A bit of inconsistency there. Better in that bag, I think. There we are. Can't have Stewart's pride and joy being damaged in transit, can we? That goes there. It's like a blooming crypto factor quiz, isn't it? A puzzle. Okay, so put that back to there. And put our instructions away, and we just have a quick whip through this because it's not going to take long. I tell you now, it's going to get a very good rating for value, this set. That's £65, and you've got what feels like an excess to me of £100 of the gear, actually, here. So I think that's to be commended. Put that back in there, like so, and that, and our little parts, and then let's have a look at our 48 scale Panther. Oh, okay. Is that a natural pan line on the real tank? I didn't know that. Was it just covered up? Sorry, I'm just looking at the way it joins together here with the bathtub hull, which looks very detailed. Takom are very good at moulding in fine detail into small parts. See all that detail around the suspension where the torsion bars operate? I was just looking at this bit here, this join, the shape of it. I don't remember seeing that on other Panthers, so maybe I've missed something, I don't know. Oh, looks like I'm starting to build it. To build it? Stewart might have something to say about that. He likes his tanks. Forgive me. Should I even think of such a thing? Oh my lord. Very tempting, isn't it? It's sort of a very buildable little kit, this somehow. Something that you want to have a go at straight away. Anyway, have a look at this, the engine deck detail. There's no faulting their moulding at all at Takom. Just look at this. That's absolutely lovely. Brilliant. So finessed, isn't it? Even all the mounting points for like where the light goes and stuff like that. They're getting away from the intrinsic quality of their moulding process. They're one of the best, actually. Then we've got, all the business to do with the turret itself, which looks again very, very nicely done. And look at the way they've in one piece they've moulded. That's very unusual. They've moulded the machine gun and the main cannon all in one piece. Look, that's remarkable. Okay, there's your machine gun that goes at the front. Is it an MG34, MG43? I was getting mixed up. Some IR on it. Just going to put my glasses on here. My zoomies. I think it's a 34 variant of, anyway. And then you got your hatches here. You got your cupola. You got your glasses. Main mantlet here where the cannon comes out, and where it pivots obviously into the main turret mounting, and your rear, the rear wall with the escape hatch, emergency escape hatch, and some very nice stuff indeed. I mean, they've done that beautifully, haven't they? They're nice, aren't they? I've never seen one of these 48 scale Takoms before. It's a completely new thing for me. So I'll be perhaps paying more attention to them in the future on these. I always think of Tamiya because we all know that they build up so well at 48 scale, and other people like Chris Jones, they love these as well, and quite a few of you have actually had them, some of these 48 scale armour kits, and they're always brilliant, aren't they? So, what have we got here? Almost there. Turned into a bit of a marathon this, hasn't it, really? Right, here we go. Okay, so all the interesting detail bits here. So we've got our armour plate for the tracks at the side. Armour plates for the tracks at the side. We've got our exhausts, which are kind of slide moulded. They have got recesses. I don't know if you can make that out. They have got a recess, which is nice. And then we've got our transmission drive exit there from the hull. You've got your the fan covers at the top of the engine deck itself, and then over here we've got our jack. Here, the jack, wire cutters, MG34. I think it is machine gun. That's the one at the front, I think. And here we've got our figure. Now let's have a look at this figure because I was quite interested to see him. This is something that's a real nice bonus. Takom are very good with their figures, and they do them very crisply. He looks absolutely brilliant at 48 scale, doesn't he? You know, that's well up there with Tamiya, isn't it, really? Excellent. Look at the hands. That's good. Yeah, like that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And the back side of the hands, look. Yeah. And then we've got our little cupola, the dome cupola for the machine gun here. Hatches, you've got mud guards, driver's hatch, exit hatch here. It's nice, isn't it? There's a ladder. Okay. Then you've got the main engine hatch here. I think it's a Maybach engine on this, I think, isn't it? And these are good as well, I didn't notice. These are logs, look. They're logs from trees. That's why they look a bit uneven looking. That's nice. Moulded logs that they've chopped down. And of course the idea is that if they get into bad mud, they put those down, stick them in front of the track so they can get out of the mud, basically. That kind of thing. Fine detail there, things like the little shovels. Very nice kit, actually. Wow. Okay, one more bag to go, and it's two that's repetitive, so just one more sprue to go, actually. And here we go. And this is the tracks on the wheels, basically. So they've gone for this Lincoln. They've done it really well, actually. Moulding's very nice on this. Lincoln length tracks. You'll notice, by the way, there's no warpage. Yeah, everything's perfect in terms of things like these sprues. Lincoln length tracks. Beautifully done. Obviously it's a bit fiddly because you've got to do these that go around the sprocket and the idler wheels at either end. But you do save all that faffing around having to do thousands of tracks. Building them up one by one. Got the spare tracks on the side here. Tell you one thing I didn't see. Where was the cannon muzzle? That's something I never noticed. Didn't notice that. Have I not been paying attention? Surely that would be with the cannon, wouldn't it? Where was the muzzle? Oh yes. I wasn't paying attention. The cannon muzzle is there. Sorry, I'm jumping around slightly here, but I was a bit lax of me there. That's very nicely done, that muzzle. In two parts there. I would have preferred that to have been... Preferred it slide moulded in a single piece, but I suppose you can't have everything. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So back to the wheels. Here's your road wheels. Oh, very, very nice. Absolutely lovely. Yeah, it's right up there with Tamiya, this, isn't it, actually? What it builds like, well, that could be a different story, I don't know, but perhaps if any of you are going to have a go at this, let me know. I'd be very interested if you see this review now or later, doesn't matter when you see it. Now being December 25 as I speak. But yeah, if you get this for Christmas or something, you know, make a nice Christmas gift, this box. I've got to say, if somebody gave me that for Christmas, I'd be chuffed to bits. It's a lovely kit. It's a lovely kit. Yeah, I mean, the tank, I thought I'm going to throw this tank in. You know, it'll be some old tool thing, you know, just as a bone. No, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I am very, very impressed with all of that. So I'm going to pop that back in there if I can. And give you the verdict of the whole set. If I can. Get it back in, that is. Right, there we go. So it's done. My work here is done. I think that's an absolute corker, to be honest. It really is. Excellent. Got everything? Again, I think it's a 9.5. A bit more detail would have been helpful, perhaps. But having that figure in it was quite nice as well, the little tank commander. Which did it mention in the instructions? I didn't notice that in the instructions. Anyway. What a fantastic set. That has actually exceeded expectations. I think it's a beautiful package, a brilliant package for Christmas. If you know a modeller who would appreciate something like that, for 65 quid, I think you've got Christmas pretty much sorted, really. I am very impressed by that. Very impressed. More so than expected. So I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10. A little bit more clarity around the instructions. I think it's... Am I being a bit harsh? Because they haven't given you these clear parts as well, but a lot of you will say, well, it's a gimme. I think overall, maybe 9.75 out of 10, because at least the instructions are a bit clear on that one. it would have been a 10. This kit, this set would have been a 10 if they just had a bit more clarity on those instructions. But apart from that, and you've got those pilots included as well. I think 9.75 is right, you know. I think that's where I'm at. 9.75 out of 10. Thank you very much to Stewart Neale for loaning that to us before he's seen it himself. Really appreciate that. And I think he's going to really enjoy building that. I mean, you can do, as I say, you can do the big... I'd be tempted to do the big cannon carrying one, you know, and maybe open up this one maybe with the clear parts. But you've got a lot of options between them. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I thought it was interesting and perhaps may shape your demands for Christmas presents. Oh, I mean, to a significant other. If you haven't bought him or her something nice for Christmas, that's a pretty good set if you like that kind of subject. Everything's in the box that you need. That's what I like about it. Everything's in that box. I look at that and I think there's no aftermarket required on any of that at all. And that's what I really like to see, and I think Takom have done a fine job for their first aircraft. Well done, guys. 9.75 out of 10, you know. Just watch your instructions there, because you seem to have slipped up and forgotten to add any details. Especially when you've got captured ones, you know, it's a bit strange to do that. So just bear that in mind. Apart from that, well done to the guys who did the design and the actual tooling. Fantastic job. 10 out of 10 to them. And 10 out of 10 to you for watching. Thank you very much for joining me. There's still a couple more to come before Christmas, but stay tuned. Stay well in the meantime. Stay well, stay safe. Keep watching, and don't forget to subscribe and ding the notification bell and select the all option to make sure you get told about the next major release. Until next time, thanks a lot for watching. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.